Welcome back. We've been talking today about crime and safety in our communities. I'd like to now welcome Kate Boccia from HOPE, a Parents Initiative. Welcome to the show, Kate. We've known each other for several months now, so happy to be with you today.
Oh, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
So you've been doing great work in our community, especially in North Fulton, and working with kids, working with this issue of drugs. Talk to us as parents. What do you recommend that we as parents do in terms of dealing with our children who are dealing with opiates?
Well, my first recommendation with all my parents are to listen to their gut. I think when I look back over the past several years back when my son started down that road, I didn't listen to my gut, although it was screaming very loudly. And I think every mother that's out there would understand exactly what I mean. So if they would listen to what they think is going on, and then acknowledge it and get the help they need. What I've learned, and I've just learned this recently, and I wish I had known this several years ago, I wouldn't be on this show right now, is that I'm not an expert. I'm just a mom. And if my doctor gave my son a cancer diagnosis, I would have gone to the experts. When my son was given the addiction diagnosis, I chose to try to fix him myself. That doesn't work. So I think that's probably my biggest message to parents. You're not the expert in addiction. Right. You're just the expert at being a mom.
Well, you actually have a great story. So let's kind of back up a little bit. Just share a little bit with the listening audience about what happened. Maybe even talk about opiates, which is a big word for some folks. So just tell us a little bit about what happened, your background, and this issue of opiates as it plagues our young people.
Okay, well, I've been in Fulton County for 21 years now and brought my family here to, raise them in a really wonderful cul-de-sac lifestyle. And room mom, soccer mom, team mom, stay-at-home mom. Very fortunate to have a lot of opportunities in my life. Then my son started struggling through the late middle school, probably early high school years. The smoke the pot, the drink the beer that we all kind of say, oh, I guess that's okay, Moving forward, we battled with him. We battled with each other as a family. He was very disrespectful. And ultimately, we enabled our son unknowingly. Certainly, we would never have done that had we understood what we were doing. Moving forward, he getting worse and worse into the addiction. And so now I'm caught up in an arena that I'm completely unfamiliar with and frightened, and reaching out to my community and asking for help and not finding the help I needed. So the type of person I am is I require people to give me as much as I'm going to give them. And I was willing to give my community everything, all the support they needed in order to help my son. And I was not receiving that support anywhere. So I started on my own just by writing to people like you, emails and letters and emails and talking and saying the dreaded word heroin in my community. And that was, how it began, just a fight for my family.
So you're a parent, I'm a parent. So what would you say to me and others who say, not my child?
Oh, I love that question, because here's what I say, and I say it makes sense when I say it this way. When your child's born and you leave the hospital, you don't say to yourself, we might get in a car accident on the way home, so I better buckle them up. You just assume that I'm going to buckle them up in case. You do this preventive measure right away. From the second your child's born, you try to prevent them from getting in car wrecks, you try to prevent them from diseases, you give them exercise, the right foods, all the things necessary. What I say to parents is not that I woke up one morning and said, I think I'll have my son be a heroin addict today and be in prison. I think that sounds like a plan. I've never said that in my life, and there's not a mother out there that has ever said that. So what I should have assumed is that the possibility existed, that my son could become an addict, and how do I protect him from that? How do I protect my family from that? That's by education, awareness, conversations, and by my community all standing together and saying we won't allow that to happen. It's unacceptable. And so to parents that are in the denial mode, not my child, is your child going to get in a car accident today? You don't know that. And addiction is just that. It's a car accident.
So you, like Kit, committee of one, out there shaking the branches and raising the awareness. What would you say to folks like me who are politicians or elected officials and other leaders? What would you do to educate us in terms of this issue of overdosing, usage of drugs, and even suicide? What would you say and what would you do?
I would say that all of you have to take ownership of these issues. Vocally, public service announcements, allowing families with children in trouble to say, we hear you, we see you, just like Kit does with the children. We know you're there, we feel you, and we understand what you're going through, and we're here to help you. Because I talk about suicide, addiction, incarceration, overdosing, and now we're talking about murder, because we had 2 boys murdered in Roswell. So this drug is so powerful that if our elected leaders and elected officials and our community leaders don't acknowledge it, it's not going to stop. The fallout of a drug as powerful and dangerous as heroin is far-reaching, and we cannot, if our community leaders aren't willing to say the heroin word, then more kids will die. And I'll tell you right now, I've said this since 2011 when I talked to Mayor Belle. I said more kids will die. Last October I said it, more kids will die. I said it in November, more kids will die. And you know what? We had more kids die this week. So.
Well, you know, the other thing as you were talking, I was, again, going back to the interview with Kit, he mentioned about killings. That gets attention, they're bad, but there's sort of this silent killing or that's occurring or dying in terms of the drug usage. Again, just restate, what can we do to raise their awareness or get a sense of urgency and action?
The urgency is now. It is here today, this minute, all over our country. What we can do is we are working feverishly on resources, and we all have resources. There are programs all out there, but we don't know how to get to them. So connecting the dots, that's kind of my role. How to put into our communities that Fulton County could have available in my community, I have these resources, whether I need help, whether I want my kids to be a Boy Scout or Girl Scout, whether we want to join hiking, biking, swimming clubs, what are the churches, a resource center of hope and help for our communities. It's very easy to access either online or personally if you wanted to walk in. Education of our business leaders, get them engaged. So it's bringing our communities together, connecting our communities to our resources. And if we have that, we can solve every issue that we have out there, but without knowing who's there and who does what and validating them as well. There's a lot of sketchy things out there when it comes to rehab and that don't work. And so, all of these things will save kids, and families can have that comfort to speak.
You're great motivation, inspiration, I'll say. So how can you connect, what could you say to the mother or the father that's listening to this show? What can they do?
I think they can reach out to people like myself or Kit, connect with us now, join it, be the voice because there's safety in numbers, and talk about it. Ask for help, especially you dads, ask for help. You can't do it alone, and nobody, and that's the way all of history has been. People don't do it alone. It takes a lot of people to help a lot of people, so ask for the help and ask the experts.
Well, Kate, you've been great. We joked earlier, this relationship started with an email that you sent to me about 5 or 6 months ago, and you've been involved with the Crime and Safety Summits. You've been a part of the Smart Justice Advisory Committee, the council. Great advocate. I've learned a lot. Anything else you want to share with the listening audience about the good work that you're doing?
No, I'm excited to have this opportunity, and who would have thought I would say that, but I am, because I feel like we will make a difference. And I think that Georgia, and I'm going to plug a little, Governor Deal has an opportunity to leave a legacy, because Georgia needs help right now, and our families need help. So I say let's do it. Let's have that peace movement. Let's make Georgia be the example of leadership. And
actually, I agree with you. There's a lot of reform that's happening on the state level, and hopefully Fulton County can be a leader in terms of counties, in terms of addressing this issue.
I would love to see that. I'll be part of it.
Well, Kate, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
When we come back, we'll tell you how you can get involved in the conversation and how you can get in touch with the Chairman's Corner. We'll be right back.